Since 1882, Gahanna-Lincoln High School has represented a history rich with tradition. In 2007, the high school will celebrate its 125th anniversary. Over the years, many issues have impacted the school district. One of these issues is war. Hi, I'm Erica Smith.
I'm Brian Levin.
And I'm Lillian Feldman-Hill with a special 60-minute report from WGLH-TV.
The past 10 years, WGLH-TV has led an effort honoring and preserving our high school's history. As we look back, one group who's made an impact but whose efforts have gone unrecognized have been the men and women that have served in the military the past 125 years.
This lack of recognition became apparent in the spring of 2005 when Nick Mesmer, a 2003 graduate, was killed in Iraq. Students and teachers took a stand and began making efforts towards recognizing our military.
A group met before and after school to brainstorm ideas to honor our past and present veterans and their family sacrifices.
That was how the Serve and to Honor committee was formed. It has 6 main components: memorial design, community service, historical research, education, communications, and fundraising.
Brian Levin and Wes Gardner explore the history of this group and take us on a tour of the completed memorial.
The Gahanna-Lincoln Memorial Project, which stands out in front of the high school, was not an overnight job.
It took many hours of thought and deliberation for the final product to be approved.
We got a chance to speak with Tom Gregory, a speech teacher here at the high school, on his influential part on getting the memorial started.
And it came about just first because Nick Mesmer, 2003 graduate, certainly people were impacted by, not only by Nick, but by anyone who's gone to this school, who's fought, and we wanted to do something. And so we decided, myself and a couple other teachers, that what can we do? How can we, as a school and as a student body, come up with some way to somehow recognize people who are fighting or who have fought and lost their lives, who attended or graduated from our high school.
The urge to build a memorial was also fueled by the return of the Ohio-based Lima Company, which was documented by WGLH-TV last year.
The benches near the memorial are designed for teachers to be able to take their kids out as a learning environment.
They also served as sponsorship opportunities to accumulate funds to help build the memorial.
Once the funds were gathered, it was time to start making the memorial a reality. We got a chance to talk to Alex Bain, an architecture student here at Gahanna, on his involvement on getting it all started.
We designed everything from the columns, how tall, to how big the podiums are, how many pavers, how many benches, to then from there we went to town meetings to kind of get it evolved into that. I went to a few, Sean went to most of them. And then from there we kind of both helped with construction. I was out there quite often, maybe about 2 days a week, helping them with construction. And then from there we kind of and then the ceremony happened.
While some pillars display important quotes and seals of our armed forces,
others display the names of fallen heroes that have graduated from GLHS.
Garrett Downing, who worked on last year's Lima Company story, talked to us about his role on the memorial project.
My role on Memorial, I worked with the TV department on the media side to just get the word out and let people know what was going on, just so people could see what was going on at the high school and they could really jump in and get a part on what we were doing. I also worked on a committee with some people around the community to raise money and to plan some events, and also just try to think outside the box in terms of ways to get people involved and try to get as much money in as possible. The memorial really took a big step about in the spring last year, and we really needed to get some outside support, and jumping on that committee really allowed us to do that, and I'm really glad I was able to be a part of it.
What initially started as a vision has now become a reality thanks to the students, staff, citizens, and those who served.
Reporting for WGLH-TV, this has been Brian Levin
and Wes Gardner.
The Veterans Memorial that sits out front Gahanna-Lincoln High School is one of the largest memorials to honor veterans in the United States. To even begin a project of this size takes a great deal of financial support from the school board, city official, and members of the community. Stephanie Domofsky and Lindsay Nelson talked to members of the fundraising committee on how their plan was formed for such a huge project.
Without this $10,000 check donated by the Gahanna Rotary, this Veterans Memorial would not have been made possible.
These bench and pavers were donated by people throughout Gahanna and businesses alike.
Sponsors were able to purchase benches or pavers to pave the walkway to the memorial.
Over $150,000 was raised to cover the cost of the granite memorial. We spoke to Huntington National Bank Vice President Joe Gautran about his involvement in the project.
Huntington National Bank was both a sponsor of one of the benches and one of the pavers, and I was quite active with a number of companies that I work with Huntington to also be part of this great memorial. And they asked me if I could help get involved in helping raise more funds. At the time, they had raised, Tom Gregory and the team done a great job, raised about $30,000, and we thought we might need about $60,000 to do the project right. And the more we got involved, the more we found out we're going to need a little bit more. So a number of different companies came to the table and really got behind the whole effort.
President of the school board, Ted Carr, spoke to us about the school board's involvement in the memorial.
What the board did, we spent some time communicating back and forth with the district, some emotional support. We were able to put a marker out on the walkway that we're proud of, but communication was probably the biggest role that the board played, communicating between the city and the school.
Community member and member of the Knights of Columbus, Bill Holhouse, explained why he became involved in the project.
A good friend of mine, Joe Gautran, gave me a call, said, who can we call to generate some donations for this event? I gave him some ideas. He goes, you need to join the committee. So I joined the committee. We felt compelled that our Knights of Columbus should do this. So we did a bench, and then our family did a paver, and it just spiraled from there.
Senior Ryan Hall organized a benefit concert to support the memorial.
The first oldest concert and the second oldest concert raised about $3,000 each. There was just a little over $6,000 total that went to the memorial.
Joe Gautran commented further on the community's willingness to fundraise for the memorial.
I think what was really gratifying is the snowball effect with people and skills and talent. It was one thing after another where we needed someone to get involved, and they didn't hesitate, whether it was fundraising, whether it was the construction, especially in the last 45 days, different companies would come to the table without any prompting and just get involved and take ownership and just go make things happen. And you just go back through things and think about how people talk about diversity of skills and talents. And it was just absolutely wonderful to see how different talented people came together to form a team that made it all happen.
Community members Mona and John Morrison purchased a paver in honor of Mona's father.
It's an opportunity to be involved with the school again, to be involved with the community, to bring people together, to bond. It has been just a wonderful experience, and when Joe Gautran approached us and asked us if we would contribute, we were so thrilled that we could dedicate something in honor of my mom and dad.
Without the thousands upon thousands of dollars raised by community members and businesses,
this memorial would not be standing today. This has been Stephanie Nomofsky
and Lindsay Nelson
reporting for WGLH TV.
It was important that students took a lead on all aspects of the project, and teachers and community members provided guidance.
One way that students would take the lead is by hosting an oldies concert to benefit the memorial. There was a faculty band as well as a student band that showcased their talents in a way to support their school.
Justin Schiff and I have some highlights from this year's oldies extravaganza.
In order to raise money for the memorial, students and teachers got together to put on the 3rd annual Oldies Extravaganza.
The performance featured two bands, the Lords of Literature and the Oldies Revival.
The Lords of Literature, starring faculty members such as Dr. Prince, Mr. Peters, Mr. Mishler, Mr. Potter, Mr. Dufault, and finally Mr. Miller, opened the show, performing songs like Day Tripper by the Beatles.
We were very happy to do that and to do what we could to help raise consciousness for the effort of raising money to construct a memorial.
Led by Ryan Hall, the Oldies Revival was the star of the show, featuring 3 guitarists, 2 percussionists, 2 keyboardists, 5 vocalists, a bassist, and a horn section. The Revival band blew away the audience.
They played some great hits like Killer Queen, Carry On My Wayward Son, and of course, The Longest Time by Billy Joel.
And the greatest miracle of all is how I need you, and how you needed me too. I haven't been there for the longest time.
The crowd went crazy when Ryan and Cameron walked into the pit to play their final guitar duet.
The audience members were on their feet for the entire show, clapping, swaying, cheering, and dancing to the great oldies hits.
The band members worked endlessly to put together this entertaining fundraiser, and they were hopeful about the outcome of the show.
Hopefully we raise a lot of money, hopefully more than last year, and have more people than we had last year. I know it's going to be one of the best shows at Gahanna and one of the best events in Gahanna history, and I know all the hard work is going to pay off.
The show was highlighted by numerous instrumental solos from various band members.
All proceeds from tickets and t-shirt sales were used towards the construction of the new war memorial.
Just behind these doors, the Oldies Revival concert is rockin'.
For a great cause, as they have been able to raise loads of money for the war memorial. This has been Justin Schiff
And Lillian Feldman-Hill reporting for WGLH-TV. Another group of students who was crucial to the development of the memorial are those of the architecture class. They helped plan a model for the memorial, and they helped the construction workers wherever possible. Brent Shear and Andrew Igdaloff talked to some of these students about how they came up with their concept.
Architecture, one of the two Eastland Career Center satellite programs here at Gahanna Lincoln. The class teaches the students the various steps in architecture, which include sketching, using CAD programs, and building models. These skills are then applied to create various projects throughout the year.
Mr. Kaiser, the architecture teacher, explains to us the biggest project the class has ever undertaken.
Starting a year ago, we were asked to be involved in the design of the Veterans Memorial that's going to be located in front of the high school. And our students designed that, or a group of our students designed that. We've seen it through the design process, the budgeting process, fundraising, and it is ready to break ground.
The students were very involved in everything from the planning to the paperwork and were a major inspiration to the project.
We talked to Alex Bain, one of the key members involved in the memorial.
Kaiser came to us the day this first happened, and we actually took it from there. A few people joined in, but they eventually fell out. We fought through it. We went to all the meetings, stuff like that, got it approved, got the land grants and all that stuff. We went through many designs, but this is actually the final one that came through, so it's actually looking pretty cool.
The architecture students were also present during the construction phase while the columns were set in place and the work of art came to life.
We also spoke to Sean Kirk about why the project means so much to the architecture class.
Basically, when Mr. Kaiser came to me and Alex about the memorial, we were thinking of a plaque on the wall type thing, and once it was turned over to the students, we pretty much upscaled it to what it is now. We just want it to be large and noticeable so that we can pay respect to the soldiers, because they gave the ultimate sacrifice of their lives just for our freedom, for our country, so we just thought we could pay back to them what they gave for us.
And this is what they achieved. With 20 pillars standing 10 feet tall, it's hard to miss this magnificent sight.
The architecture students designed everything from the height of the pillars to the layout of the actual memorial.
Sean then explained to us how the architecture students designed the memorial.
First thing we did was we drew sketches, and then we took those sketches and imported them onto our computers with the CAD program, and then we made a model of out of wood and chipboard and foam core, and that was pretty fun. And then we went back to the computers, critiqued our designs, and then started building.
This memorial could not have been possible without all the hard work and dedication from the architecture class. What started off as just a sketch in the architectural lab
has turned into something Gahanna will remember forever.
Reporting for WGLH-TV, this has been Andrew Igdaloff
and Brent Shear.
Once plans were finalized and most of the money was raised, the actual construction process could begin. Many businesses and individuals in the Gahanna community gave their money, time, and materials in order to make the project happen. The memorial was much more complicated than anyone realized. Andrea Rosenthal and Erica Kaler take us through the construction process of the memorial.
What started off as an idea in the minds of a few students turned into one of the biggest construction projects Gahanna Lincoln has ever had.
Many teachers, students, and construction workers worked for weeks to complete the memorial that is standing outside of the high school.
Staff members who were crucial to the construction of the memorial broke the ground in early October.
Then it was time for the ground to be torn up so the concrete could be poured.
Square boxes were placed throughout the area where the granite pavers would be laid.
It took the construction workers many hours to pour and lay the concrete.
Construction leader John Vaccarillo explains the duties his team had.
Well, I've just been helping organize and do anything and everything needs done as far as electric and the general layout and construction.
In order to be placed properly, the columns required cranes, hands, and a lot of guidance.
Along with designing the layout, architecture classes helped with the construction and cleaning of the area.
Architecture student Logan Hubbard explains his class's role in the construction.
Just we come out here a lot during class and just help out. We're cleaning up most of all. We help clean out a lot of concrete and just stuff around because they're going to put some sod around the area, and right now they're digging some holes so that they can pour some concrete, and I mean, we're just helping out as much as we possibly can.
Because the workers feel this is such an important project, they're putting all of their time and effort into completing it on time.
Oh, we all think it's great. We're real proud of the kids for coming up with the idea. We think it's a fantastic thing, and all the different companies that are involved, everybody's been really happy to participate.
Because extra hands were needed on the project, many teachers came in on a Saturday morning to help out.
After months of planning and weeks of construction, the memorial is sure to be something the whole community is proud of.
Although the process was long, the memorial is something Gahanna will be able to share for years to come. This has been Andrew Rosenthal.
And Erica Kaler reporting for WGLH TV.
The actual memorial has two purposes. First, it is to remind us to honor all the veterans that have served and those who are serving our nation now. It is also meant to honor, by name, any soldier that has attended or graduated from Gahanna Lincoln High School that has lost their lives in the line of duty.
17 GLHS students died fighting for our nation. Ryan Engel, Jasmine Baytops, and Kyle Tarbutton tell us more about who they were.
These may seem like normal pictures of ordinary men. However, they all have one thing in common.
They all attended Gahanna Lincoln High School and lost their lives while serving our great country.
Each of these men were individually recognized at the new To Serve and Honor Memorial on November 3rd. However, we look farther into the lives of each of these 16 heroic men.
Sergeant Charles Evans was a member of the track and football teams at Gahanna Lincoln High School. He would have graduated in 1944 had he not entered the Army Air Force in March of 1943. He served as a radio gunner and was returning from a mission over Mulhouse, France, August 3rd of 1944, when the bomber encountered severe enemy anti-aircraft fire and crashed in the North Sea. Evans' service to the country will not be forgotten.
Private Aaron Eugene Hall was inducted into the U.S. Army on July 28, 1943, and went overseas in June of 1944. He was a member of the 81st Wildcat Division. While serving the country, Hall earned many badges. He spent much of his time at the Gahanna Community Church for Sunday school and working at the Firestone retail store. Hall was killed in action on October 26, 1944, at age 19. He was on the island of Palau at the time and was thought to have stepped on a landmine. His service will always be remembered.
After graduating from Gahanna in 1932, John Lawrence Mauger worked as a press operator for the Timken Roller Bearing Company. Private Mauger entered the United States Army in August 1943 and took his training at Fort Knox with the Armored Forces. He transferred to the infantry after arriving in France and was killed in action July 9, 1944. Mauger was survived by his wife Juanita, his parents, a brother, and 4 sisters. His service is remembered and appreciated.
Although we have no pictures of Private William H. McCann, we do know that he was born in 1923. He left for the U.S. Army in 1941 and then fought at Corregidor and survived the Bataan Death March. However, he was forced on a Japanese POW ship that was unmarked and was sunk by Allied forces on January 17, 1945. McCann's service to the country will never be forgotten.
Gahanna graduate Paul Cameron McGlinchey was born May 1, 1916. After graduating from Gahanna Lincoln in 1933, he attended 2 years of college and worked as a photographer, accountant, and auditor. McGlinchey entered the U.S. Army on December 17, 1943, and left to serve his country in World War II. On November 11, 1944, McGlinchey was killed in action in the Netherlands while fighting a battle to break through the Siegfried Line. He is buried at the Netherlands American Cemetery in Margraten, Netherlands.
Born in 1916, Kermit Newland graduated from Gahanna in 1933. Before his induction in April 1943, he worked at the Columbus Coated Fabrics Corporation. He left to serve his country in May 1944 at the age of 28. After enlisting in the United States Army, he served in the China-Burma-India Theater with the Army's Chemical Warfare Division. On December 13, 1944, Private Newland was killed in India, though not in battle. Survived by his wife, Catherine Mauger Newland, Kermit was admired and respected for his service to the country.
Robert W. Phillips attended Gahanna Lincoln High School before transferring to Columbus Central High School, where he was an All-Ohio and on the school's 1936 football squad. Second Lieutenant Phillips joined the U.S. Army when the National Guard was activated. He served overseas in the South Pacific with the Quartermaster's Corps. Phillips was on duty in the United States when he was killed November 26, 1944, in a crash of an A-25 bomber near Martinsburg, Pennsylvania.
Second Lieutenant John Harrison Zeck was born March 14, 1917. He graduated from Gahanna Lincoln in 1935 and The Ohio State University in 1939. While at Ohio State doing graduate work, he went to Indiana for citizen military training. In 1941, Zeck left the Army Infantry. Shortly after, on June 22, 1943, he became second lieutenant for the Air Corps. On January 6, 1944, Zeck died in a plane crash when the P-38 he piloted collided with another plane over the Gulf of Mexico. He was 26 years old. Zeck's contribution to his country will never be forgotten.
Robert Eugene Remley was born in 1923 and graduated from Gahanna in 1942. He joined the Maritime Service on November 7, 1944, and attended school in Sheephead Bay, New York. After having been sent to Newport News, Virginia, he made several voyages. On September 12, 1946, Remley was reported lost from the American Liberty ship SS David Caldwell. The crew braved a storm for 3 days before the ship went aground off the coast of France. Remley made it safely to a lifeboat, but discovered a friend had not made it. When he returned to the ship to assist his friend, the ship broke into 3 pieces, and Remley was lost.
The life of Neil Deal began July 27, 1922 in Gahanna, from where he graduated in 1940. He had a loving wife and 2 daughters at the time of his death. Before serving, Deal was a lightning consultant for the Columbus and Southern Ohio Electric Company. During World War II, he served in the Air Force and remained with the Air Force after the war and almost completed his F-51 flight training. On March 10, 1950, Deal was killed when the plane he was piloting crashed near Steubenville after taking off from Lockbourne Air Force Base. His service to the country will never be forgotten.
Gahanna graduate Benjamin Franklin Jiggs Dunkel was born in 1929. After graduating in 1947, he went on to serve his country in the Korean War. After enlisting on January 30, 1951, Dunkel was a member of the 7th Medium Tank Group stationed in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and served with the medical unit when he went overseas. In Korea, for only 2 months, Dunkel was killed in action on September 6, 1951. His friends and family will always remember him for his service to the community and country.
Stephen Carl Blossom was born in 1943. He grew up in Gahanna and graduated from Gahanna Lincoln High School in 1961. Steve's family moved to the Detroit area, where he met his future wife, Suzanne. Steve worked for the repair department of Ingersoll Rand until he was drafted into the United States Army in January of 1967. He began his tour of duty in Vietnam, attaining the rank of sergeant. On August 5, 1968, he became a ground casualty, dying from multiple wounds after his vehicle hit an enemy landmine. Steve gained the respect and admiration of all who knew him.
The memory of Gus Winslow Johnson, born July 1, 1947, lives on every day at GLHS through his sister, Secretary Effie Johnson. After moving to Gahanna in 1955, Johnson graduated in 1965 and attended a non-Bible college, a barber college, and later Central State University. He went to Vietnam in 1967 after being drafted in the U.S. Army. While serving, Johnson became MIA for 2 months and his remains were later found. His death date was set as September 6, 1968. To honor his bravery, he earned the rank of sergeant posthumously. Johnson is buried at Union Cemetery in Columbus. No one will ever forget his service to the country.
Russell Berluker was born February 17, 1933 in Rochester, New York. He was on the football team at Gahanna-Lincoln High School and graduated in 1951. That summer, Luker enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps and later traveled throughout the world as a flight engineer. He earned the ranking of Staff Sergeant while serving in the 1st Marine Air Wing. On February 1, 1966, Luker and 6 other Marines were aboard the KC-130F Hercules refueling tank when the plane was shot down near Hong Kong Island off the coast of North Vietnam. He will be remembered for his service and bravery.
Born July 31, 1950, Michael Dennis Turner grew up in Whitehall and graduated from Gahanna. Turner worked at a local service station in Gahanna before enlisting in the United States Marine Corps in the winter of 1968. He began serving in Vietnam in July of the same year. On Thanksgiving Day, November 28, 1968, Turner was killed when he, or another soldier near him, stepped on a landmine in the Quang Nam province. In honor of his service, a close friend named his son after Turner. His service to this country will never be forgotten.
Nicholas Edward Mesmer was born July 24, 1984. He enlisted in the U.S. Army in 2003, just months after he graduated from Gahanna-Lincoln. After his training, Mesmer was sent overseas to Iraq. However, on May 8, 2005, an explosive device struck the vehicle that Mesmer and others were riding in. The explosion took place in Samarra, Iraq. Mesmer's term was just to end a few months after his death. He prided himself on physical fitness and received numerous medals for his military service. Mesmer was a faithful member of the St. Matthew Community Church and left behind a fiancée as well as many friends and family. No one will forget his service to his country. Private Samuel A. Mullen was born on October 17, 1972. He graduated from Gahanna-Lincoln High School in 1991, and in January of the same year, before he graduated, war had broken out in the Middle East and the U.S. was pulled in. In that same summer of 1991, Sam enlisted in the Army, going to Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic training. After the completion of basic training, Sam stayed around at Fort Knox waiting for his advanced training to begin. However, on September 2, 1991, while running, Sam suffered a heart attack and passed away. Sam's service to the country is remembered by all who knew him.
The lives of these 16 heroic men will not be forgotten. Reporting for WGLH-TV, this has been Kyle Tarbutton,
Jasmine Baytops,
and Ryan Engel.
I am truly humbled by the ultimate sacrifice these individuals have made to better our lives. One of these individuals, Gus Johnson, has a sister, Effie Johnson, who works in the front office of the high school. Natalie C. Hafer and Holly Evans talked to her about her brother and what the memorial has meant to her.
Throughout history, Gahanna-Lincoln has had a number of memorable students.
One that stands out in particular is Gus W. Johnson, a 1965 graduate who served in the Vietnam War.
We wanted an in-depth report on his story, and here's what we brought back. Gus W. Johnson was born in 1947 and moved to the city of Gahanna in 1955.
After serving for close to a year in the Vietnam War, Gus sadly passed away in 1968.
Although he only served in the Army for a short time, his duties earned him prestigious awards and honors of gratitude.
Some of his awards included the Bronze Star Medal for Bravery and the Purple Heart for Injured in Battle.
Gus, along with many other Gahanna graduate veterans, were recognized and remembered for their efforts at the memorial on November 3rd.
A student at Gahanna, as well as General Horn, spoke of Gus.
Gus W. Johnson, Jr., Sergeant, United States Army, Vietnam War, July 1st, 1947 to September 6, 1968, class of 1965.
Sergeant Gus Johnson, class of 1965, his sister Effie and family. And finally, special...
Effie Johnson, Gus's sister, has been a secretary here at the high school, and we got a chance to talk to her about Gus's story.
12 years old when my brother went into the military. He graduated from Gahanna Lincoln in 1965. Well, he signed up, but it was because there was a draft, and they were going to get drafted anyway. So
We were lucky enough to hear one of Effie's favorite memories of her brother.
all right, my family and I went on vacation, and he at the same time he was going to surprise us by coming home, and he didn't tell us, so we had already planned a vacation, and we went on our vacation, and when we came back, all the lights were on in the house, and we went inside, and he was there waiting for us.
The memorial is now a place that Effie and other family members can go to remember their loved one who fought for our country.
Within the memorial, there is a special column with an inscription recognizing Gus for his service. All the veterans' hard work, including Gus's, has definitely left a big impact on our community.
This memorial is the least we can do to show our support for the veterans who have served and honored this country. For WGLH-TV, this has been Natalie Seansburg
and Holly Evans.
Rick Mesmer, father of Nick Mesmer, who was killed in Iraq, spoke about his son during the dedication ceremony. Jeremy Meislish and Troy Jones spoke to his family about Nick and how the memorial has impacted them.
With the recent death of Nick Mesmer, a 2003 Gahanna graduate, staff and students realized the need to honor past veterans who have been killed in action.
At the memorial ceremony, Rick Mesmer spoke for the 15 other families who also had soldiers killed in action.
It gives us great comfort knowing our sons are embraced in strong arms by those who have died before them, and that their memory and sacrifices will never fade, and for generations to come, they will be memorialized by this powerful and fitting tribute made possible by the faculty, teachers, and students of Gahanna Lincoln. God bless our students, our military, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
In the spring of 2005, 2,500 students and people of the community lined the streets to pay their respects as Nick's funeral procession passed by. Last November 11th, a celebration was held at Gahanna Veterans Memorial, and a plaque was presented to Nick and his family.
A brick was also laid for Nick's sacrifice. The brick lays next to his grandfather and cousin, who also served in the armed forces. When we talked with Rick Mesmer, he gave us his initial reaction when Nick told him he wanted to join the Army.
I tried to talk him out of it because I knew the dangers of going over there. I mean, I knew it was a rough war going on, and but he wanted to go over and jump out of airplanes, parachuting. He wanted to join Special Forces. Dennis Murphy, his future father-in-law, that's what he did, and Nick got all excited about it. He wanted to join the fire department, but that wasn't coming up for a while, so he was going to go over and see what he could do for the country. So there wasn't no talking him out of it. That's what he wanted to do. Once he set his mind to do something, he did it.
At the memorial, General Horn spoke of Nick's death.
In 2005, we lost PFC Nicholas Edward Mesmer, a member of the class of 2003. PFC Mesmer was on assignment with the 1st Battalion 506th Infantry Regiment last year when he sustained mortal wounds from an explosion that struck his vehicle while on patrol in Samarra, Iraq.
Shortly after Nick's death, 2 soldiers arrived at the Mesmer home to explain the news.
Zach Mesmer, Nick's younger brother, described that day.
I was at my house and I was outside and they walked in, told my mom and my brother, and I walked in, they told me, and I couldn't really believe it. And it took a while for it to sink in.
Nick received many awards and medals for all the hard work he put in for our country, one of which was the Purple Heart. The last thing Nick sent to his mother were Mother's Day flowers that she received approximately the same day of his death.
Friends of ours all got together and they had those flowers freeze-dried for us, so we have them forever.
Nick was a son, brother, fiance, and friend.
He was truly loved by all who knew him.
He was just a happy person. I mean, he's one of the guys, when you walk up, and see anybody, and while you shake her hand, Nicholas, you like to hug him. I mean, he was just like a teddy bear. He's just lovable. He was just always in a good mood. He was fun to have around. We miss him.
The greatest sacrifice that anyone can give is their life.
When Nick Mesmer joined the Army, he put his life on hold to protect our country.
This pillar will stand strong to represent the life that Nick Mesmer gave.
We will always remember Nick and the price he paid to protect our freedom.
This has been Troy Jones
and Jeremy Meislish reporting for WGLH TV.
It has taken a great deal of effort to research these veterans, particularly the ones from the World War II era, because the records are so sketchy. One person who was extremely helpful in gathering information on the veterans and their families was Bob Dickendasher. 4 years ago, he spoke at a special graduation for all World War II veterans from Gahanna who missed their graduation. Brittany Vaught and Jack Simon talked to him about some of these veterans.
This memorial that I am standing in front of was built to honor those from Gahanna who have served in the war.
Inside the memorial, written on the stone columns, are the name of some of Gahanna's own alumni who have served in the armed forces.
A lot of the information written here would not have been possible without the help of one man.
We talked to Robert Dickendasher about his contributions to the memorial.
Mr. Dickendasher is an alumni of the class of 1947 of Gahanna Lincoln.
A Gahanna resident for all of his life, Mr. Dickendasher felt an obligation to help contribute to the memorial effort.
He did his part by gathering information about the various veterans.
We spoke to Mr. Dickendasher about his experiences and the memorial effort.
The memorial, it was a very good idea. I didn't know how I could play a part, really, other than growing up around in downtown and on the fringe here, and being with two classes like that. I thought, well, if there's any way that I can impose upon my friends and ex-classmates and reach into their memory banks, why I'd be happy to do what I could do.
Eager to help, Mr. Dickendasher began phoning family and friends of alumni to gather as much information as possible.
Not only was he able to find out a date of birth and a date of death for these alumni, but he was also able to find out who they were as people.
In 2002, Gahanna held a ceremony honoring those alumni who were overseas during the time of their original graduation.
Mr. Dickendasher was invited to speak at this ceremony regarding 3 Gahanna alumni who were killed in World War II.
Gene or these boys didn't grow up with a mindset to kill or be killed. Gene ended up on an island, on the island of Peleliu in the South Pacific. But way down in the South Pacific, this Gahanna boy ended up fighting for his country. This may be a two-handkerchief day.
Although Mr. Dickendasher has helped Gahanna so much, he is not satisfied yet.
I just hope someday we're able to, if there was any World War I veterans that we haven't recognized, that we can dig up some information on them and get, if they're deserving, get their names on here also, because it'd be a shame to leave someone else that paid that price.
The school owes Mr. Dickendasher a debt of gratitude for all the hard work he put into honoring our veterans. This has been Jack Simon
and Brittany Vaught reporting for WGLH TV.
A group that really helped assist us was the local VFW. John Oyster and John Cooley talked to members of the VFW as well as community members about their impressions of the memorial.
Color guard, host! Host the color! Host!
Overall, the memorial dedication was a very successful event. It took a lot of time and effort to make it such a success. The purpose of the memorial is to honor the soldiers who gave their lives for our country and also to make the public aware of the sacrifices they made. We spoke to various members of the Gahanna community and got their thoughts on the memorial project.
The concept of all the students, coming up with the idea was great, and then I helped a lot with the construction of it, so to see all the people from the community come together and the people that donated time and materials to help get it built, it was just miraculous. And it came down just to the last day of getting everything put in place so that the ceremony could go on this morning. And you tell there are a lot of people that were excited about it.
Sean Gallagher, a Gahanna senior, attended the memorial, and here's what he said.
It was really nice. I thought it was great that there were so many people there, all the parents and students that came out to see it. I thought it was a really good thing. I think the community it'll be good for them. I think people will be able to walk through it just when they're nearby. I think it'll be a great thing. People can just go see, young kids can go see it and learn about the history of Gahanna and the school.
In addition to impacting the community, the Veterans Memorial has also impacted local veterans. We spoke to them and got their thoughts.
I think it's a wonderful thing. It should have been done years ago, I think. It's a good memorial for all the students that went to school here that's lost their life and give it all for their country.
It's an honor for us that you are doing it for the veterans, and really elated that this is taking place, especially for the youth of today, because they need to recognize what the veterans do for the country.
When they hear about, they'll recognize what it's all about and really get next to it and really support it all the way.
We also spoke to Gahanna resident Millie Jones, who thought it was just a perfect time to have the memorial.
I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful time to have this, since our world is what it is today, and to have young people, like they are here in Gahanna, so honored to even think that they could even come up with a memorial to serve those who are past and the ones we're serving today.
This memorial has united our community to serve and to honor our nation's veterans and soldiers. This has been John Cooley
and John Oyster reporting for WGLH-TV.
As the memorial was nearing completion, students and faculty members began making plans for a very special dedication ceremony for the community. The featured speaker was Brigadier General Jeffrey Horn, who was in charge of all artillery operations in Iraq, as well as a 1976 graduate of Gahanna Lincoln High School.
The Pentagon gave him permission to fly from Iraq directly to Gahanna for the dedication and then to fly right back. Adam Stein and Zach Sayre interview him about some of his experiences.
On November 3rd, the crowds gathered for the memorial dedication. Among the crowds were soldiers serving in Iraq and also the families of the fallen. At the dedication ceremony, we had the opportunity to speak to General Horn. General Horn is a former graduate of Gahanna Lincoln High School. Over the years, he has served many tours overseas. In fact, as we speak, General Horn is currently serving in Iraq.
First thing I'd like to tell you is it's an incredible thing serving with America's sons and daughters today. You go out and you see the folks, and they are so incredibly well motivated, and the morale's always up. Doesn't matter what happens, they just keep trudging on. And when it's 142 degrees and they're loaded down with all their armor and everything else, it's always great to see them smiling bright and
General Horn was presented with a plaque to always welcome him home.
A great credit to Lincoln High School, the community of Gahanna, and our wonderful nation. Hopefully this plaque will be a reminder of a great day for all of us. Thank you very, very much.
General Williams had the pleasure of introducing General Horn.
He's the same Jeff Horn that spent many hours in my home being exposed to the fundamentals of military and sharpening his social skills. He is a credit to Gahanna Lincoln, our community, his family, and the United States Army. Please join me in welcoming one of Gahanna's best, Brigadier General Jeff Horn.
As we dedicate the To Serve and to Honor Memorial, a day of remembrance for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for liberty, freedom, and a democratic way of life while serving our armed forces. These young men are a part of an unending line of proud citizens who answered our nation's call. And it has been said that for a nation to be successful, the nation must be willing to serve. For over 230 years, our armed forces have defended our way of life and defended a system of values.
A reception was held after the ceremony where General Horn was also able to speak.
I can tell you that your sons and daughters who are serving in harm's way are absolutely doing the right thing. It is incredible to interact with the people of Iraq and see how they're so very much just like you and I. All they wish for is the ability to wake up in the morning and take their kids to school.
It was a pleasure to interact with General Horn. He has made his country proud. This has been Zach Sayer
and Adam Stein
reporting for WGLH TV.
All of the hard work from over 100 community members, students, and business partners culminated into a very special dedication ceremony that was held November 3rd, 2006. Joe Robbins and Krista Morenzel have some sights and sounds from this event.
On Friday, November 3rd, Gahanna-Lincoln High School held a dedication ceremony for the Veterans Memorial.
The dedication drew members from the community, veterans, and students to honor our soldiers.
Over 100 students participated in the assigning, researching, and publicity of the memorial to make it a great success.
We spoke to Dustin Mesmer, brother of fallen soldier Nick Mesmer, about the significance of the memorial to his family.
It means a lot to us just because of what everybody's gone through and all the time they've spent putting this together and showing us how much they respect what the veterans have given for us.
Gahanna graduate General Jeffrey Horn was the keynote speaker at the dedication ceremony.
You look across this area right now and you look back across this memorial, and as I understand it, there's no one in America that has a memorial of the size and magnitude of what you have before you for a town of this size.
We spoke to General Horn about his special leave of absence for the dedication.
Well, I can tell you I talked to my soldier before he left, and I told him what I was getting ready to do. And I'll tell you, when you leave to come back to the United States for any reason, there's a sense of guilt that you feel that you're leaving.
After the Lincoln Elementary's choir performance, the ceremony began with the posting of the color guard and continued with an address from Police Chief and Master of Ceremony Dennis Murphy.
His remarks were followed by those of Community Leader Joe Gottran and General Horn. A select group of students read the honor roll of Gahanna's fallen soldiers.
The ceremony was a great success. Army Private Matt White shares his feelings with us.
A lot of people think that the job gets overlooked, but really it's not. We do this every day, this is our life, and I think it's a good way to honor that in a way.
Lance Corporal Daniel Swingle discusses his feelings on the memorial.
I think it means a lot, especially to students who graduated from here who are in the military, like myself and Roy, Hannah.
The dedication of the Veterans Memorial has set a landmark in Gahanna-Lincoln High School history.
We thank the school community, the civic community, and the business community for their efforts in helping make this memorial a possibility. This has been Joe Robbins
and Krista Morenzel reporting for WGLH TV.
The members of the GLHS band not only participated in the dedication ceremony, they were also invited to participate in the Veterans Day Parade in New York City. Each member wore the name of a veteran as they marched in the parade. I will give you a look at what took place.
Welcome to the 2006 New York City Veterans Day Parade.
On Saturday, November 11th, the Gahanna-Lincoln Marching Band took on the streets of New York for its annual Veterans Day Parade. The event was officially announced by Superintendent Greg Morris at the To Serve and to Honor Memorial Dedication.
This memorial will reach beyond our city as our Lincoln High School band, wearing ribbons representing service members, marches in the New York City Veterans Day Parade.
Numerous bands participated in this year's parade, yet the size and sound of the Gahanna band stood out from the rest.
I just liked the parade because it was just a good experience, and there was a lot of people around, and they were just like, they just appreciated that you were marching for the Veterans Day parade, and I just felt honored to be part of that.
After the parade, the students were rewarded with a gala and dance at the National Track and Field Hall of Fame. Although a great deal of time was spent at the parade, the band also enjoyed other activities while in the Big Apple.
It's a famed New York, so you get to see the 5 boroughs, and we got to go at the top of the rock and then marching the parade and seeing all these cool stores and seeing what everybody talks about, things like that. I enjoyed it a lot, and it was a valuable experience.
The band even caught glimpses of a few celebrities, such as Meredith Vieira and Al Roker from The Today Show, and Olympic ice skating medalist Sasha Cohen.
My favorite part of the New York trip was Top of the Rock, and it was this really tall building where you could go up to the 70th floor and look out over the whole city, and you could see the Empire State Building, and you could see I don't know, all the buildings and the streets and the little itty bitty cars, and I don't know, I guess I liked the whole trip, but that was probably my favorite part.
The band also viewed historic sites on the NYC trip, such as Central Park and Ground Zero. Considering all the sightseeing and patriotic attractions, it's clear to see that the trip to New York was a well-rounded experience. For WGLH-TV, this has been Erica Smith.
Another special memorial was also dedicated on Veterans Day this year. At Forest Lawn Cemetery in the south side of Gahanna, a special memorial was created to honor all Ohio veterans who received the Medal of Honor. Meredith Farst and Rachel Irvin were there, and here's what they brought back.
In Forest Lawn Park on Veterans Day, November 11th, 2006, many people gathered in the cold to witness the groundbreaking of a memorial.
The Freedom Square Monument is designed to honor past and future Medal of Honor holders of Columbus.
Many important people joined this ceremony, such as Mayor Mike Coleman, who presented a speech.
And in celebration of our veterans, those who have risked their lives for our country, each of us, we all know that freedom is not free, and it takes strong men and women to step up to make sure that we can continue to live the life that we live today.
Medal of Honor recipient Mr. Ron Rosser cut the ribbon for the memorial.
Statue of Liberty and an eagle.
Ron Rosser was also presented with a plaque to show Forest Lawn's Memorial Garden appreciation for his service.
This is a laser etching, black laser etching that says American Hero, U.S. Medal of Honor, recipient Ronald Eugene Rosser. And I want you to know too,
Bishop Reedy High Schoolers Emily Dandurin and Zachary Justice sang God Bless the USA.
To be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the man.
We talked to a committee member who was a part of the building plans, and she gave us the reason for the memorial's existence.
And actually, ever since I've started here, I've wondered why we haven't had a veterans garden. My husband is a veteran, my father, my brother. We have over 2,300 veterans buried here. So that was initially what we wanted. And then SCI, which is the company that owns Forest Lawn, which is Dignity Memorial, said that they would pay to put up a Medal of Honor monument, and how would we like to do that? And we said that would be awesome. So then everything started. Scott Damati, who was the host for our show, he was the person that actually spearheaded one of these monuments up in Canton, Ohio. So he transferred to Columbus, Ohio to help us out. And here we are today, dedicating the Medal of Honor monument to our veterans. So it's very exciting.
I also talked to an audience member who explained her reasons for being here and her appreciation for the memorial.
I work at DSCC, so they've got a big veteran, support group there. So, and my dad was a veteran, so I came in honoring him. He's still living, but not able to be here, come down. So I came down more or less in place of him. So it was a very good ceremony, very good, and the plaques are really pretty. So.
John Crookston wrote the song Your Finest Service especially for this memorial and presented the song in front of the audience.
Bring it
loud and ring it clear, resounding loud throughout the years. Every soldier's heart and nerve, the finest service we now serve.
The City of Columbus shows the appreciation for those who have served in the recent wars by dedicating this memorial.
Hopefully this memorial will stand the test of time and stay in our hearts forever. This has been Rachel Irvin
and Meredith Fires reporting for WGLH TV.
The city of Gahanna also had a special gathering for Veterans Day. Students were involved in singing and the reading of the names. Megan Nuss and Amy Shalaski have the story.
On Saturday, November 11th, many people gathered to commemorate the heroic actions and sacrifices of the Gahanna veterans.
We attended this special event, and here's what we brought back.
Right. The ceremony began with the presentation of colors, followed by the invocation by David Plunkett, the chaplain, and also a retired major in the Persian Gulf War.
Veterans brought us freedom, not politicians, not voters, not just people on the street, but veterans. We owe so much to them.
Tony Collins, the director of Parks and Recreation for the city of Gahanna, then dedicated the new memorial bricks.
Today we are here to dedicate, and please join me in congratulating, we're here to dedicate 57 new bricks today, to add over to that 2,000 bricks.
This was followed by the memorial wreath placement by Steve Ebersol and Robert Stallings of the VFW Post. After a brief moment of silence, Sergeant Carl Lang of the U.S. Army from World War II made a principal address.
Today, we are here to remember the veterans of military service, to honor those that served our country in a great time of need, and those that made the supreme sacrifice for our country, and those that came back home to live a normal life.
Also attending this event was Joe Hebdo to sing God Bless America.
God bless America, my home sweet home.
There's a 21-gun salute by the VFW Post 4719 of Gahanna, Ohio.
Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Lock! Half left, step back. Hold! Present hard!
The memorial can be visited at all times of the day with the ever-burning flame, flags to recognize our veterans, and benches for resting and appreciating those veterans.
Here at WGLH TV, we strive to recognize and appreciate our veterans.
This has been Amy Shalaski
and Megan Ness for WGLH TV.
In doing this special edition, we learned that several Gahanna-Lincoln High School students have had a significant impact on the school throughout the last 125 years.
Our hope is that through the construction of this memorial, we will not only recognize our military, but raise awareness of their efforts as community members.
Finally, in our research, we found that a number of Gahanna students lost their lives fighting for our freedom.
This memorial will stand as a concrete reminder to students and community members of the sacrifices they make for us.
It is the one way that we are able to truly serve and honor their memory. This has been Erica Smith,
Brian Levin,
and Lillian Feldman Hill reporting for WGLH TV.